Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is essentially the central nervous system of any modern business, management accounting. We are moving way past the basic tallying of historical receipts to unpack the strategic playbook that drives real-time decisions, from the factory floor straight up to the boardroom.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with Section 12.0, an introduction, followed by a formal definition in 12.1. In 12.2, we'll put financial and management accounting head-to-head. Then, we'll break down the core objectives in 12.3, and wrap it all up in 12.4 by looking at how cost concepts have evolved into a true value generator.
All right, let's jump right in. Section 12.0, Introduction to Management Accounting.
Before we get too specialized, we really need to look at the foundational purpose of accounting. The American Accounting Association defines it as the process of identifying, measuring, and communicating economic information to permit informed judgments and decisions. Now, that last part, that is the real goal. We aren't just sitting around balancing books. We are refining raw data into actionable fuel for decision makers.
You see, historically, accounting was basically just a look in the rearview mirror, scorekeeping for outsiders. But as businesses grew and scaled, the discipline had to adapt, right? It expanded into real-time practices for immediate process control, and eventually into strategic, forward-looking practices for long-term pricing and strategy. And management accounting, it lives entirely in those dynamic, real-time, and strategic zones.
Moving on to Section 12.1, Definition of Management Accounting.
So who exactly is all this strategic data for? Well, CIMA defines management accounting as the application of professional knowledge and skill in the preparation and presentation of accounting information in such a way as to assist management in the formulation of policies and in the planning and control of operations. Notice that laser focus there. This isn't for government regulators, it's not for the general public. This entire discipline exists exclusively to give internal teams the leverage they need.
And that creates a massive dividing line in the financial world. On the outside, you have your bankers, shareholders, and creditors looking at statutory reports to judge the company retrospectively. But on the inside, managers and executives simply can't run a daily operation on a yearly summary. They demand granular, highly detailed data to actively plan and control the business. Which brings us to Section 12.2, Differences between Financial Accounting and Management Accounting.
Think of this as a showdown between a historical report card and a forward-looking playbook. Financial accounting is totally bound by rigid mandatory rules, like GAAP, providing concise data for outsiders. But management accounting, it is completely untethered. Literally, there are no mandatory external regulations. Managers have absolute freedom to format, slice, and project detailed departmental data in whatever way best serves their strategy. It's a real game changer. Next up, Section 12.3, Objectives of Management Accounting.
So how do managers actually use this flexible tool? Well, it all feeds a continuous decision-making loop. You start by defining an organizational goal, like maximizing wealth, and identifying alternative ways to actually get there. Management accounting steps in to analyze those options through a strict cost-benefit lens, allowing you to select the best path. You implement the plan via budgets, and crucially, you use continuous feedback to compare actual outcomes against your targets, correcting course in real time.
But listen, just throwing raw data at a manager isn't enough. Information overload is a very real threat. To be effective, the system must be carefully curated. The data has to be relevant, cost-effective, and completely stripped of heavy jargon, so non-accountants can actually make sense of it. And most importantly, it requires a delicate balancing act between accuracy and timeliness. Think about it. A sales manager absolutely needs correct data, but if they have to wait weeks for perfectly balanced historical numbers, that market opportunity is already dead.
Finally, let's look at Section 12.4, Managerial Accounting and Cost Concept.
If we take a look back, cost concepts have evolved dramatically over the years. Prior to 1950, this whole field was highly technical, focused purely on tracking materials and standard financial control. By 1965, the second stage shifted toward planning tools, like capital budgeting. But the paradigm really shifted around 1985 in Stage 3, with an obsessive focus on reducing process waste. And today, in Stage 4, the ultimate goal isn't just tracking costs, it's the active generation and creation of corporate value.
So, what triggered that massive shift into Stage 3? It was the Japanese manufacturing boom of the 1980s. They completely disrupted the global market
by treating quality not as some boring compliance metric, but as a primary competitive weapon. By introducing things like just-in-time inventory and relentless waste reduction, they proved that aggressive process analysis directly drives strategic value. It was a massive wake-up call that essentially birthed strategic management accounting in the West.
And that brings us right to stage 4 today. Strategic Management Accounting, or SMA, totally shatters the four walls of the factory. It looks outward, evaluating global competition, product life cycles, and incredibly complex supply chains. The modern management accountant has evolved from a technical tracker sitting in a back office into a true strategic partner at the leadership table, ensuring the company actually survives in a hyper-competitive global market. We've seen how management accounting transformed from a simple scorekeeper into a highly dynamic, strategic navigator. It gives internal leaders the freedom to make agile decisions without all that external red tape. So as markets move faster than ever, how will your organization leverage strategic accounting to uncover hidden efficiencies and build tomorrow's value? Keep that question in the back of your mind as you apply these concepts. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.